The following program is a presentation of Comcast's SJTV. San Joaquin Television. SJTV.
From the Thompson Sports Complex, it is Lincoln and St. Mary's. And that kind of says it all. For the number one seed in the SJAA, St. Mary's already has clinched at least a co-championship, their first in the SJAA since 1998. But with their win, they will have their first outright championship since 1995. While the Lincoln Trojans are looking to make it 5 championships consecutively and 6 out of the last 7 years. The winner of this game is the number one seed in the SJAA. If it is St. Mary's, they could be home throughout the playoffs, while Lincoln, if they get the victory, they may not be home the entire playoffs, but they would be the number one seed. So we will see how it turns out tonight. As we said, maybe the final time these teams will play in the SJAA. The leagues are going to split. Apparently, that will happen next season. And they may play non-league, but as far as playing in the SJAA, this could be the last time, and especially the last time these teams hook up in Week 10 as the Lincoln Trojans take the field. They have won 4 games consecutively after their league loss to West, their only league loss by the score of 9-7. St. Mary's has not lost since their opener. That was a non-league game to Jesuit, losing that game by 1 point. They have won 8 consecutively since then. So the new leagues, as you can see, one has already been named the SJAA in a coin flip. Lincoln, Franklin, Lodi, Bear Creek, Cesar Chavez, which will be the new school in Stockton, and Tracy, and then no name yet in the second league, which will have St. Mary's West, Edison, Tokay, Stagg, and McNair, the new school in Lodi. It is not a for sure that the league will split next year. Most likely it will, but most definitely in 2 years, when, of course, McNair and Chavez have varsity teams. They will start with JV teams next season. The Lincoln Trojans, it looks like a team prayer before the start of this contest. Of course, they have been hit hard by injuries this year. Michael Johnson, their all-everything player, a defensive back, receiver. He is out. He rebroke his left radius last week. Of course, missed the early part of the season because of that injury. Initially hurt it during the summer. As you see the captains going to the middle of the field along with the officiating crew. Looks like they are ready for this one as well. Lincoln also without their nose guard, Marty Santini. They've been without him for quite some time. A safety, Demarie Jordan, and a corner, Eric Shields, all starters on the defense. So we will see a freshman, DeWitt Stuckey, in the secondary tonight for the Trojans. And the captains are out there. We mentioned huge implications. If St. Mary's wins, they would not have to go on the road. Of course, the section championship game played at the University of the Pacific, so in essence, that's really not a road game. Lincoln, if they were to win the title, would be the number one seed, but they certainly would not for sure be at home throughout. But of course, being the number one seed is a whole lot better than being the 2 seed. Larry Macedo is the referee. Of course, it has rained hard over the last couple of days. Tonight's weather actually is glorious for the second week in November. There is Larry, and he's saying, hey, I'm going to toss this coin. It's going to go in the mud, so I'll catch it instead. As the middle of the field is very muddy, and it looks like St. Mary's has one. And the Rams will receive, and you wonder how the muddy field affects this game. Does it favor Lincoln and their running attack of Billy Smith, Pete Boggs, and Michael Peters? Or does it favor the passing game of St. Mary's because, of course, the receiver knows where he's going, the DB does not? There is Tony Franks, his second stint as head coach at St. Mary's. year 3 out of 6 total. He has been to the postseason 5 of those 6 years, 24-9 for the St. Mary's alum. On the other side, it is Mike Byerly. He too in his 3rd year. His record even more impressive, 30-5 overall and 24-1 in SJAA play. Of course, think back to last November, 2 days after Thanksgiving, 2 weeks after Lincoln had defeated St. Mary's to win the league championship and the #1 seed. As there is Coach Byerly to the left of your screen with the red hat and the red jacket on as well. But Lincoln with the victory over St. Mary's to conclude the regular season a year ago, 48-27. But 2 weeks later, St. Mary's defeating Lincoln, ending their season after 11 consecutive victories to start it. St. Mary's ended Lincoln's season a year ago, 30-13, ending a 4-game losing streak to the Trojans. You see the mud there on the sideline. It's in the middle of the field as well. And of course, when you have rain like you do over the last couple days, I guess unless you have field turf, you're in trouble. But even the field turf, as I understand it, had some puddles as well, as Lincoln has seen some soccer over the last couple of days. Well, St. Mary's can put them themselves in great shape with the win here. As I said, they would be home throughout. Lincoln, they can steal the #1 seed away. This is the 3rd straight year these two teams have played with the #1 seed on the line. They also played in '98 with the #1 seed on the line. In '98, St. Mary's won. In '02 and '03, Lincoln won. Jimmy Johnson, Anthony Crosby stand at the 10 to receive the kick for St. Mary's. And Lincoln will kick it away. Nick Rule, shorter kick, taken by Mark Silva. Silva across the 35. He's at the 40 and goes down in that heap of mud. And there will not be many clean jerseys at the end of this one. Right around the 40, St. Mary's goes to work on offense. They have a senior at quarterback. He's one of the best around, if not the best. Willie Tuatama, 15 touchdowns, just 4 picks. In the one-back set, it's Anthony Carresco, 16 touchdowns. Shores, Crosby, Zanini, the receivers. Peterson, an outstanding tight end. Anzo, Gonzalez, Estes, Capello, and Nisby, the offensive line. And let's see how the footing affects everyone. The officials blow this one dead, and St. Mary's takes a timeout. So you have to wonder what the situation was there. Didn't have the right personnel on the field, it appears. There's our officiating crew. Larry Macedo is the referee. The umpire is Tony Dowds. Head linesman is Rick Lalonde. Back judge is Mike Trenton. And the line judge is Richard Curiel. Well, this is a rarity. Let's go ahead and give you the Lincoln defense as well. This was the kick return first by Mark Silva, and I believe he went to the sideline and was actually supposed to be in on that last play, hence maybe the timeout. Pretty nifty moves by him. Of course, his brother Matt was a quarterback here at St. Mary's, a very good one, now plays for Army. Kubitz is the nose guard, Luna tackle. The end is Velasquez, the rush end is Larmouthen, Garcia, Camp, and Harris, very good backers. Weaver and Mays are the corners. Belcher, the strong safety, and DeWitt Stuckey, the freshman, is the free safety. Anthony Carresco on first down. He's on Lincoln's side of the field at about the 37. He runs out of bounds. And what a big gain on the first play from scrimmage. Let's see where he's spotted, and it looks like it will be around the 37. So a gain of 23 for Anthony Carresco. Carresco, his best game this season, 237 yards and 3 scores in a win against Tokay. He's had 4 3-touchdown games this season. And so just like that, the Rams on Lincoln's side of the field. They'll run again. Shorter game this time. Velasquez, also Reynard Camp in there for Lincoln. And it looks like Carresco will be given about 2.5, maybe 3. So it'll be second and a long 7 upcoming for Anthony Carresco. 906 yards, could go over the 1,000 mark tonight. Tuatama out of the shotgun, and he does have 2 backs in there. Now Crosby will go out into the slot. Swing pass, Mark Silva takes it. Hit almost immediately first by Reynard Camp, but then he breaks a tackle and dives to the 31. Good effort there by Silva to pick up about 4 on that little swing pass. Remember, Silva burst on the scene a year ago as a sophomore. He was called up from the JV team and made an impact in the postseason playing linebacker. We will, in fact, see him starting at linebacker tonight when the Rams go on defense. 3rd and a long 3 from the 31. That was the grab by Silva. And look at the effort at the end to burst through. 3rd and 3 for the Rams. Anthony Carrasco heading for the sticks. And it looks like he has enough for the first down across the 25. And he does indeed, as he picks up a solid 5, maybe even 6. 3 carries for 31 yards early on for Anthony Carrasco, averaging 5.7 yards per carry. And of course, that was one of the questions about St. Mary's early on. Could they get the run game going? We knew with Willie Tuatama coming back from last season, a year in which he threw for over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns as a junior, they would have a good passing game. But Carrasco certainly has picked things up, running the ball, and given the Rams the good balance. On 1st and 10, it's Carrasco trying the left side. All kinds of room. Inside the 10-yard line, Devin Mays over there. Also DeWitt Stuckey, the freshman. And so Carrasco gets down to the 8. Right around 17. So 4 carries for 48 yards for Anthony Carrasco. I mentioned that balance. Coming into the night, St. Mary's 1,514 yards passing, 1,533 rushing. This was a 17-yard gainer by Carrasco in slow-mo. 1st and goal for the Rams. Carrasco stretching, touchdown Rams as they take it 60 yards on the game's opening drive. All but 1 play on the ground. And vintage Anthony Carrasco, his 5th carry now. The Ram fans should be happy. I guess they cheered in a hurry. You can see a full house, as you would expect, for St. Mary's and Lincoln. And the chants of our house from the St. Mary's student section, they're a little lower there. There we go. A couple of guys with their shirts off painted their chest. That's always nice to see. Although it's warmer this Friday night than it has been each of the last 2 Friday nights. Here's John Shores, maybe the best place kicker in the area. 36 of 41 on point afters, has kicked 5 field goals, which is tied for tops. Low snap. Don Rogers does a nice job to put it down. The kick is good. 7-0 St. Mary's with 9:33 to go in the first quarter. Anthony Carrasco, look at the determination to drive into the end zone. And it is 7-0 St. Mary's. 5 carries for 56 yards by Anthony Carrasco. The swing pass also to Silva for 4 yards. And that was the drive. 5 runs and 1 quick pass. And St. Mary's, no question, a little different team than the one we saw at the start of the year. They were very good then, but obviously the running game has really kicked into high gear. Mike Byerly, the head coach for Lincoln, said, no question, Lincoln had to find ways to get pressure on St. Mary's. And when people have gotten pressure on St. Mary's and Willie Tuatama, they've had a little bit of success. Of course, against Jesuit, Tuatama was sacked 7 times. Also, Franklin had 3 sacks against St. Mary's. Those St. Mary's won that game 24-20. And also, Tracy had 4 sacks and led St. Mary's 16-7. But the Rams stormed back and scored the final 23 points of that game. A game we did on TV, and Tony Franks felt like maybe the turning point of his team's season, as they've now won 8 in a row. Michael Peters from about the 11. Here he goes. Shores, the only man who can stop him. Peters shakes to the outside. Hurdles Shores. And he's inside the 20 as he's finally brought down. John Fugazi in the area. But what a return by Michael Peters. A 70-yard kick return. And that sure energizes a team that just saw the opposition take it 60 yards and get a score. So a huge return by Michael Peters, the 5'10", 170 junior, who will start at wingback. And The Trojans in business at the 19 with 9:19 to go on the first. They open with the tight alignment, then they go out wide. Backs are split behind Von Costa. We will also see Nick Rule tonight. That is Billy Smith. Smith inside the 5. Looks like he's down to the 4. A 15-yard gainer. Let's give you Lincoln's offense. Their quarterback, he's a senior, Von Costa, though we will see Nick Rule in the second and fourth quarters, according to Mike Byerly. Billy Smith is the fullback in the wing tee with fly principles. Pete Boggs, the halfback. Peters at wing. The split in is Shane Ruby. Brent Kamaiapili, the tight end. The O-line, Franklin Smith, Mason Olson, Nick Godina, Matt Wigley, and Alex Stipe. First and goal, Lincoln. After St. Mary's went 60 yards, they get the 70-yard kick return from Michael Peters. And there is movement along the line. May have been encroachment on the defense. Let's see. That is the case, says Larry Macedo. First flag thrown of the night. And very nice facility here, the Thompson Sports Complex, but it gets a little darker when you get towards the end zones. We'll get you the defense for St. Mary's right after this play, unless I guess Lincoln punches it in, as it is first and goal from about the 2. There's Costa as he's set to go under center. Peters is stonewalled. Pat Moore in there, Nathan Hunter, Anthony Crosby, Tad Smith, and Eugene Beal. So let's go and give you that defense for St. Mary's. The tackles, Skylar Jackson and Ryan Dixon. They're undersized, but they play very hard and very well. Tad Smith and Pat Moore are the ends. Eugene Beal's in at middle linebacker in place of Anthony Sanguinetti, the team's leading tackler. Mark Silva in there for Tomoto Nagama, who broke his collarbone in a car accident. Joey Shepard starting along with Nathan Hunter and Jimmy Johnson at the corners. Crosby and Barrows are the safeties. Second and goal. Peters the motion man. Billy Smith looking for room, burrowing. And he is driven back. Crosby in the mix. Eugene Beals as well. Beals, the 6'2", 210 junior. It's a senior-laden St. Mary's team. In fact, St. Mary's has just 34 players suited up tonight. Very small roster indeed. And so the ball's at the 1. It is third and goal. Here's the play again. Initial push for Billy Smith, but then he was pushed back. And you would think it's 4-down territory for Lincoln, even though it's very early in the game. Not yet 5 minutes into our contest. Third and goal. Billy Smith, touchdown, Lincoln. We're an extra point away from being tied. This was set up, though, by the 70-yard kick return by Michael Peters. And so Billy Smith scores his 17th touchdown of the season after Anthony Carrasco scored his 17th. Nobody's too festive. This is for the number 1 seed. There's some people that are festive. Oscar Anzaldo was. Those guys certainly are festive. It's good to see that we have all kinds of chest painting going on. Nick Rule on for the point after. Von Costa to hold. Brent Kamaiapili is the snapper. Costa puts it down. And we are tied at 7. 7:03 to go in the first quarter. Each team has had a possession. Each team has scored a touchdown. That should surprise no one. You look at the overall numbers for the season. The average score of a Lincoln game this year, 35-13. The average score of St. Mary's games this year, 33-10. There's Tony Franks talking with Eugene Beals. Beals in there for Anthony Sanguinetti, number 44. So Sanguinetti may be trying to help out Beals. Coach Frank, longtime collegiate assistant at Santa Clara and UC Davis. Of course, a year ago, St. Mary's got to the section semifinals after they defeated Lincoln and then lost to Edison. By 1 point in that heartbreaker before Edison went on and lost to Grant in the section championship game. But 3 of the last 4 years, a team from the SJAA has been in the section finals. The first time that has ever happened. Lincoln won it in 2000. first championship for a team from Stockton. And then Lincoln lost in 02 in the rain to Jesuit. And last year, Edison lost to Grant. So a good start for each offense, though Lincoln was aided in their field position by the kick return from Peters. Short kick again by Rule, but Crosby was up closer to the line of scrimmage, and he returns it from the 16 and is put down close to the 38 with 6:57 to go. And no question, what is a quagmire? It is the definition tonight. Look at the muddy field. It is week 10, and you look at St. Mary's, this is their 4th home game out of the last 6 after they had a stretch at the end of last season and the start of this year when they went 7 of 8 on the road. But as I said, with the win tonight, they would not have to leave Stockton, of course, assuming they would keep winning in the postseason. Koresko, run out of bounds. Garcia and DeWitt Stuckey in the area. And Anthony Koresko looks like he'll get almost to the 45, close to 7, and pretty soon we won't be able to see number 21 on the back of his jersey. Already 6 carries for him, 63 yards, as St. Mary's has thrown just once, a little swing pass. We'll see if they uncork it here. But remember, they haven't really needed to. If Koresko continues to run the way he has, why not? On 2nd and 3, he takes it. Cut back a little bit in the mud, but really has nowhere to go, as he is stopped by that interior. Nick Kubitz, the nose guard. He played in the postseason last year as a sophomore for Lincoln. Now a junior, playing nose guard. Marty Santini started the year at nose guard, but ACL injury, he's out of there. But Kubitz led the charge there. And since that loss to West, Lincoln has been virtually unstoppable. 4 straight wins, 184 to 27. 3rd and a short 2, flag flies, multiple flags in fact. And let's wait and see the call from Larry Macedo. And it's encroachment on the defense. That's a killer. First down, St. Mary's. And after that loss to West, Mike Barley, Lincoln's head coach, said he really felt like his team matured. He thought they were a little mature. Said they matured after that point. If offensive linemen jumped, their teammates made them do up downs and things along those lines. And you can't underscore the injuries. Most specifically, Michael Johnson, who would be starting in the secondary and at receiver for Lincoln. But they're right here in the mix, looking to be the number 1 seed again. Trying to make it 5 in a row. 1st and 10 after the defensive encroachment. Tuatama pumps. Again, flushed. And throws as he was hit by Daniel Luna. Now there was no receiver in the area. Just had to get rid of it. May have been outside of the box. And he was hit by Luna, who started the season as the number 1 tight end. Also will see some time there, but so will Brent Kamaya-Peely and Dominique Howard. A lot of guys have had to move around. Howard now playing some split end. Michael Peters now seeing a lot of time at wingback because of the injuries to the Trojans. 2nd and 10 after the incompletion, as we play for the number 1 seed in the SJAA. The loser of this game, though, is the number 2 seed. No matter what, Franklin, the 3 seed, the winner of Tracy and West, the 4 seed. Koresko got some extra yardage at the end of that run as he stayed in bounds. Stuckey and also David Garcia. David Garcia, the team's 2nd leading tackler, able to hurry Koresko to the sideline. 7 yards there. And so it's 3rd and a long 3. 8 carries for 72 for Koresko, and you see him kind of sneak along the sideline to get a couple extra yards coming right at you there. And on 3rd and 3 from the 42. Anthony Koresko not gonna get it. Reynard Camp was there. Also Nick Kubitz. Garcia in the mix. And also Taylor Belcher, the strong safety. Remember his brother, Justin, a standout on the 2000 section championship team. Many of these players, of course, have had brothers who played at either one of these schools. And so Carrasco got just about a yard, 4th and 2 from the 41. And John Shores, who does all the kicking for St. Mary's, is on. And that was a big stop for the Trojans, no question. Now a whistle here. Let's see what it's for. Timeout taken by Lincoln, so each team has expended one of their timeouts with 4:59 to go in the first quarter. Let's go ahead and run down each team's schedule to this point. As I said, St. Mary's has won 8 in a row since that season opening loss, one we saw here, by 1 to Jesuit, who, by the way, is 9-0 and among the favorites to come from Sacramento and play for the section championship. But since then, you see St. Mary's had a tough one against Franklin, though they were ahead 21-6, had to hold off the Yellow Jackets. And then later in the year against Tokay a couple of weeks ago, 24-12 when they were without 4 starters. For Lincoln, they too lost their opener to Granite Bay, who maybe is the co-favorite along with Jesuit to come out of Sacramento, as Granite Bay has beat both Grant, the defending champion, and Nevada Union this season. But that loss to West broke Lincoln's either 31 or 32 game winning streak in the SJAA. Remember, the game against Edison in 02 did not count as a league game, so it's up to your discretion if you want to count it. But Lincoln comes in 6-2, or check that, 7-2, I should say, 7-1 in SJAA play. St. Mary's is 8-0, looking for a perfect season. Shores, fair catch signaled by Gary Weaver, and the ball comes to rest right on the 11. A 30-yard punt by Shores. More importantly, no return, and with 4:52 to go in the first quarter, Lincoln retakes possession as we are tied at 7 from the Thompson Sports Complex on the St. Mary's High School campus. The students certainly are in this game, and as I said, it doesn't get much warmer than this on a Friday night in November. We are very lucky, though certainly the field is quite muddy. 1st and 10 Trojans, 7-7 our score. Billy Smith breaking off one tackle, then Don Rogers along with Nathan Hunter bring him down. The forward progress will give Smith about the 19, it appears. Right around 8 for Billy Smith. 4 carries for him, 25 yards. 2nd and 2 upcoming. Smith, 811 yards coming into the night. That's 8th in the area. Remember, a year ago as a junior, he had 1941, almost 2,000. And he had 6 games of 150 yards or more. This season just 166 against Tokay. But no question, defenses have been keen on him, and Pete Boggs has been good as well. He takes that handoff from Costa and has a Lincoln first down, Boggs that is, who comes into the night with 758 yards. Pretty good tandem in Boggs and Smith, and throw in Michael Peters, who has 4 touchdowns and 312 yards. Boggs got 4 on his first carry of the night. Of course, Lincoln traditionally not a big passing team. Brian Kornick the last 2 years right around 100 attempts. Von Costa, 81 attempts. Nick Rule, the backup, has thrown the ball 13 times. 1st and 10. The motion man takes it. That's Peters. Bounces off one tackle, but not Eugene Beals, who's starting at middle linebacker tonight in place of the team's leading tackler, Anthony Sanguinetti. He's going to have to come up big, and so far he's played pretty well. Peters gets about 3. 2nd and 7. Peters had 122 yards and a 54-yard score against Tracy. Also 2 touchdowns against Bear Creek this year. Trojans have now scored 48 touchdowns. The Rams 44. A lot of the overall numbers pretty similar. Clock shows 3:31 in the first quarter. It's Billy Smith. Big burst. Smith gets to the outside. He's at midfield. Stays on his feet until he gets to about the 43. "31-yard gain for Billy Smith. Now, of course, a year ago in the final regular season game at Lincoln against St. Mary's, Smith went for 303 yards and 3 scores. But then in the playoff game, he only had 65 yards. In fact, the lowest total of his varsity career. He already has now 56 here in the first quarter. Flag is thrown, maybe delay a game, we'll see. That's a little bit, and that's actually encroachment on the offense, so somebody must have lined up in the neutral zone, but as we said, it's a little darker here at Sanguinetti Field in the Thompson Sports Complex than some of the other venues. Clock is wound, and a good indicator for Lincoln's success, Billy Smith, only 3 times in his varsity career, which is 21 games, now 22, has he not scored a touchdown. 2 of those 3 games were Lincoln losses. They've only lost 3 in the last 2 years. So a good omen as he scored early on. He carries there on 1st and 15. And only able to get a couple. We'll give him 2 and make it 2nd and 13. Might have been a generous 2. Clock moving. Under 2:20 to play. Now the winner of this game will play the winner of, well, actually they will play either Ceres or Modesto. The snap is bobbled, and it is St. Mary's. I don't know if Costa ever had it, and it looks like John Estes at the bottom of the pile, and he recovers. So the first turnover, and John Estes, who also starts at center and has had 9 sacks this season, he recovers the fumble. St. Mary's takes over with 2:01 to go here in the first quarter as we are tied at 7. Here comes the play again. As I was saying, though, the winner of this game will play either Ceres or Modesto High, depending upon the outcome of Modesto and Davis tonight. Ceres already won yesterday, a Thursday game against Downey. Carrasco on first down gets 6 to eliminate Downey, and Ceres, they've already beaten Modesto, so Modesto wins. Ceres would be the number 1 seed from Modesto Metro. If Davis wins, they've already beaten Ceres, they would be the 1 seed. So the winner of this game plays either Ceres or Modesto, who would be the number 2 seed for the Modesto Metro next week. The loser would play the winner of Golden Valley and Merced. Off his back foot, Tuatama tried to loft it in to Alex Zanini, couldn't hold it as he kind of had gotten turned around. Pretty good toss by Tuatama under pressure off his back foot. But I hope I was able to clear that up because clearly I confused even myself. The winner here plays either Ceres or Modesto next week, and Modesto could be 9-1 and be a number 2 seed. The loser will be the number 2 seed. They'll play at home as well. There was the end of the play with Zanini. And they'll play either Golden Valley or Merced, who would be the number 2 seed from the CCC. Carrasco on 3rd and 4. It appears as if he will be short by at least a full yard, maybe 2. And remember, St. Mary's punted from about the 41 on their last possession. In a similar situation, it looks like they're going to do that again here, as it's pretty early in the game. And of course, you got to play maybe field position on such a muddy field. It's 4th and probably 1.5 to be fair. It's certainly not 4th and inches, so Shores will come on for his second punt. His last one was downed, actually came to rest at the 11. This one's returnable. Weaver from about the 14. Cuts inside. Gary Weaver at the 40. 45, brought down at midfield. Kyle Casey making the special teams play. But a couple of nice returns tonight by Lincoln. First on the kick return by Michael Peters and Gary Weaver there, but there is a flag back at the 20, so hold everything. Larry Macedo, a hold against Lincoln. And so Lincoln goes from having the ball at midfield. Let's see if we can pick up the hold. It came somewhere in there because the flag was back at the 20. And nice moves by Weaver. And so from the 50 to the 10, back at the 10-yard line for Lincoln, in essence, a 40-yard penalty. 27 seconds to go in the first quarter. 7-7, each team scored on their opening possession. Since then, St. Mary's has punted twice. Lincoln has fumbled once. Pete Boggs gets to the outside. Clock continues to run. Jimmy Johnson touches him down. Boggs got to about the 15. 5-yard gain there on his second carry of the night. And it looks like that will be the final play of the quarter. And so we will go to quarter number 2, tied at 7. We've decided nothing in this battle for the number 1 seed in the SJAA. While we have a break in the action, let's go ahead and thank our friends over at Eric's New York Style Pizza. Always providing pizza to the crew. They are located at 4118 North El Dorado Street in Stockton. Phone number is 463-6339, 463-6339. And apparently this is the final time St. Mary's and Lincoln, at least in the foreseeable future, will go head-to-head as league members. They could play non-league as the schedules for next year are still being worked out. And as I said, in 2 years it was known for sure that when Cesar Chavez High School and McNair High School were going to have varsity teams, the SJAA would not go to a 12-team league. It'd have to split to 2 6-team leagues. But apparently the process is going to be sped up. And next year you'll have 2 5-team varsity leagues, and they will just play 4 league games. And it's gone pretty well in the CCC, which is split to the CCC and the Modesto Metro. But then you look at Modesto High, they could go 9-1 and be the number 2 seed. Sometimes not everything is decided when you have a small number of league games. We're in the second quarter, 7-7. Lincoln will run with it. It's Smith again, and he will be close to a Trojan first down. Just shy, and it'll be 3rd and 1. 7 carries for 62 for Smith as he's off to a strong start, as is Anthony Carrasco for St. Mary's, and that's really been the story on each side. 3rd and less than a yard from just shy of the 20 for Lincoln. Von Costa keeping, and he has enough for the Trojan first down. Now remember, as I said, Nick Rule, the junior, was to see time in the second and fourth quarters, but of course Costa had already started this series, and I don't think it's the intention of Mike Byerly to switch quarterbacks within a series. He, in fact, at the start of the season told me he preferred to stick with one quarterback, and for the most part, he's gone with Costa, but he feels like Nick Rule has closed the gap, and each certainly brings something to the table. Costa did not play football last year after he was the team's quarterback as a freshman sophomore, of course, on those respective levels. On 1st and 10, run up the middle for the Trojans. We don't expect to see much fancy from them. That's usually not the case. It's just execution. Billy Smith will be given 4. 8 carries for 66. As I said, certainly hasn't been as prolific as he was a year ago, but still has scored 17 touchdowns, and probably next week would go over 1,000 yards. He would need to rush for nearly 200 tonight to go over 1,000, but you kind of put a target on your chest when you rush for 1941 as a junior. Of course, another one in a long line of outstanding backs at Lincoln, along with recently Lewis Rankin and Tyrone Gross. Pete Boggs dives at the end of that run to eke out a yard. It'll be 3rd and 5. Lincoln yet to throw a pass. Line of scrimmage about the 26. 2.5 minutes into the second quarter. Each team scored on their opening possession. Haven't seen much since then. Lincoln may have to go to the air here. Costa, under pressure from Tad Smith, throws in the direction of Shane Ruby, but well out of bounds. Tad Smith, of course, one of the best rush ends around. 9 sacks, tying for the team lead along with John Estes. Applied the pressure to Costa. And so now Lincoln will have to punt. Each team, after being successful on their opening series, has had 2 empty offensive series. And maybe we'll see Nick roll, at least that's what we were told, the next series for Lincoln. Zanini and Crosby back deep for St. Mary's. Low snap to Weaver, who punts out of bounds away from Crosby and Zanini. Zanini took a punt back for a score against Stagg. Punt goes out of bounds at the 41. A 33-yard punt for Gary Weaver. These two teams have been dominant. That's part of the reason why the SJAA is splitting with the rivals in opposite leagues. Lincoln in one, St. Mary's in the other, Tokay in one, Lodi in the other, to try and give it a competitive balance. When you look at the fact that Lincoln has won 4 titles consecutively, St. Mary's was champion in '98. St. Mary's will at least be co-champion here in '04. The last non-St. Mary's or Lincoln championship in '99 by Stagg. On first down, Tuatama looking for Crosby, dived, and he can't hold it. Moses Harris in coverage. And so early on, Willie Tuatama just 1 of 4 for 4 yards. Of course, he's going to try and hook up with Crosby again before this night's all over. That's the messed up field, no question. Looked like Tuatama was able to get his strength into that ball. Just led maybe Crosby a little too far. Good effort there from Anthony Crosby, who's one of the top receivers in the area. Second to Kevin Brown in receptions and yards. 35 for 637 and 7 touchdowns. 2nd and 10 after the incompletion from their own 41, I should say, for St. Mary's. Play action by Willie Tuatama. Over the middle, Crosby can't take it in with one hand. And ironically enough, Moses Harris covering him again. As we said, of course, it's a shame that Michael Johnson and Crosby couldn't go one-on-one. But Moses Harris, a year ago, a safety for Lincoln, was moved to linebacker this year, and in fact has led the team in tackles. But clearly it looks like he's the man to try and shut down Crosby. Crosby had a step on him, but just a little too far. Last year against Lincoln, in the regular season meeting, Crosby went off as he had 6 catches for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. Of course, that was in a loss, but he had 93 yards and a score in the playoff win and also 2 interceptions that, of course, ended Lincoln's season. 3rd and 10. Carrasco, nice grab. He's got a ways to go, and he loses the ball. Lincoln has it. It's David Garcia, as he just stripped the ball away from Carrasco, picked his pocket, if you will. Of course, the ball becomes muddy and slippery, but Garcia able to hold on to it. He's 5'7", but he is a player. Last year had 16 tackles in a playoff game against Johansson. And here comes Nick Rule, the junior quarterback. Watch this one again, as each team has now fumbled once, and the right hand just ripped it away by Garcia. Outstanding field position for Lincoln, as they certainly have had the better of it. And at least it makes it maybe a little easier transition for Rule as opposed to coming in with this team on their own 20 or so. Just below 9 minutes to go in the first half. 2 flags come in. Neither team has been flawless, that's for sure, with the penalties. And each has fumbled once. That could be due to the sloppy field. Here's Larry Macedo. That's delay a game. Or check that, that's encroachment on the offense, I beg your pardon. So somebody lining up in the neutral zone, probably a receiver. And so Lincoln will start 1st and 15. Rule this season, 5 of 13, 54 yards. He keeps, gets back the penalty yardage and then some, up to about the 38. Around a 9-yard gain. Roll's certainly good size at 6'3", 195. Is the team's place kicker as well. Last week in the win against Edison, 48-6, he did play the second and fourth quarters. Has thrown 1 touchdown pass this season, but it was called back. So in essence, I guess he has not thrown one this season. At least they went on the books. 2nd and 6 or 7. Peters driven back. Nicely done by Joey Shepard. Shepard in there at the Sam backer. Also Tad Smith over there as well. And it looks like Peters may lose a yard. And so 3rd and at least 7, maybe 7.5, awaiting the Trojans from about the 39.5. And we do appreciate the hash marks and the distances on the field. There was Shepard and then Tad Smith able to pull back Peters at 6'5", 245. Of course, though, you can't see many of the hash marks because of the mud. 3rd and long, Rule looking down the field for Dominique Howard. And it goes off his fingertips, coverage by Jimmy Johnson, but Rule looked pretty strong on his first toss. Howard started the year as a tight end because of his athleticism, has been moved out to split end. This year he has 5 catches, but 3 have gone for touchdowns. And so each team defensively has held after their offense has fumbled. Of course, Lincoln on the bad snap, and Howard probably wishes he had another opportunity at that one. And Weaver will punt for the 2nd time, so each offense has gone stone cold after scoring on their opening possession. We are tied at 7. Nice job by Weaver to pick up the ground ball. On a bounce, Anthony Crosby took it inside the 10 daringly. Only able to return it a couple of yards. Maybe about the 14, it looks like. Not surprising, though, the offenses have struggled. In fact, I was pretty surprised each scored so effortlessly on their opening drives. Of course, Lincoln was set up by the great kick return by Peters. But the field is a factor, and don't forget, both these defenses are pretty good, as St. Mary's the top defensive team as far as points allowed. They've only given up 93 this season, right around 10 a game. And Lincoln, for this season, has only yielded 115. St. Mary's 1st and 10, just shy of their own 15-yard line. Lincoln clearly has had the better field position all night long. Tuatama. Little shoveled at Crosby. Crosby, a nice gainer to about the 22. At least 8 yards, may even be given 9. Let's see, right around 8. It'll be 2nd and a very short 2. On the shovel toss from Willie Tuatama, and any way the Rams can find to get the ball to Anthony Crosby, it would be well advised. I'm sure they're aware of that. So the first time Crosby has had the ball in his possession offensively, Tuatama has tried to throw it to him a couple of times. Now 3 for 6 is Willie Tuatama, but only 16 yards, all short passes, and that shovel toss. Reynard Camp making the stop there on the run by Carrasco, but it is enough for a St. Mary's first down. Carrasco gets to the 26. About 4 yards there. His 12th carry of the night, 85 yards for Anthony Carrasco. Well, it's a shame, but as we said, it may be the final time, at least in the foreseeable future. I don't know how you can say forever, anybody for that matter, but at least in the foreseeable future, these teams will play as a league game. They may play non-league. Those schedules still being determined. Little flip over to Carrasco, and Tuatama is improvising tonight. There's a flag, maybe a late hit. Koresko on the play picked up about 5. There's the hanky. And give the Arizona-bound Willie Tuatama credit. He knows that maybe the opportunity to throw the ball deep may not be there tonight, but we've seen a shovel toss, a little flip right there. And here is Larry Macedo. That is a personal foul against Lincoln. The flag's starting to add up for the Trojans. Let's see if it was indeed late. Koresko's done a nice job to hold his footing, and that did appear to be a little late right there. And so that will give 15 extra to the Rams and a first down. Less than 6 minutes to go in the first half. Lincoln had won 4 straight until St. Mary's ended their season a year ago. 30-13 in round 2 of the playoffs. 2 weeks after Lincoln had won against St. Mary's to end the regular season, 48-27. It was quite a turn of events. No question about that. Lincoln was 11-0 coming into that game. Anthony Koresko gets the midfield, then keeps turning the legs. Harris at the bottom of the pile, also Belcher in the vicinity, and DeWitt Stuckey. Koresko trying to keep the mud out of his eyes. Gets close to 5. It'll be second and a long 5 upcoming. 13th carry for 89 for Anthony Koresko. Carried the ball 35 times 2 weeks ago against Tokay when he went for 237. He may be headed for another 35 carry night again here. On play action though, Tuatama goes down. Waiting for him was David Garcia. Garcia a strip and a recovery and throwing a sack as well. The first time the Trojans have got to Willie Tuatama. And on that play, it's a loss of about 11. Looking at 3rd and close to 16. There is Mr. Garcia, number 46. As he is caked in mud, so is Camp Luna, many players. No question, Garcia among the smallest players on the field, if not the smallest, but so far maybe he's played the best, at least defensively. 3rd and 16 at about the 43 for St. Mary's. Trying to set up a screen. No, they're going down the far sideline for Crosby. Comes back for a ball that was underthrown, and it falls incomplete. Harris over there, and also Devin Mays, the 100 and 200 meter sprint champion in the SJAA a year ago as a sophomore. So St. Mary's is trying to get it to Crosby, and eventually they may hook up, and that could be the big one. And now 4 of 8 through the air. Ball was underthrown. Crosby tried to come back for him, maybe on a cleaner field. He does make that play. Here is Shores to punt. Gary Weaver stands around what looks to be the 30, though it's hard to tell. Kind of off the side of Shores' foot. And let's see where it's spotted out of bounds. Right around the 35, it looks. So 3:53 to go for Lincoln. 2 timeouts remaining. And it'll be the second series for Nick Rule, as the Trojan fans look on anxiously. Defenses have played well. The field has slowed down the offenses as well. St. Mary's looking for their first outright title since '95. Lincoln hoping to share the title like these two schools did in '98. Double fake, and it's Pete Boggs taking it around the right side. Here goes Boggs down the sideline. And he's finally shoved out of bounds by Jimmy Johnson and Anthony Crosby. Quite a play there. Double fake, and then Boggs took it running right. And he gets to the 21-yard line. A 44-yard gainer for Pete Boggs. Gotta like the deception there from the Trojans, who are aptly named, I suppose. Boggs has had some big ones. 7 carries for 168 and a score against Tracy. 11 for 85 and 2 touchdowns against Stagg, as you see his run again. 7 for 147 against Bear Creek. He averages 9.1 yards per carry. Billy Smith looking for running room, not much there. Tad Smith actually looked like Eugene Beals and Pat Moore, and also Kyle Casey for that matter. So 2nd and 9 as Smith just gets a yard. Clock ticking, nearing the 3-minute mark of the first half, and of course would be a big momentum swing here if Lincoln got in, or a boost to St. Mary's if they could get the stop, as we are tied at 7 in the battle for the number 1 seed in the SJAA. Boggs tries the left side, and he finds nothing there. Crosby up from the safety again, also Mark Silva and Rudy Anzo. Rudy Anzo and Max Capello, of course, starting the offensive line. They also see some time on the defensive line. The first game against Jesuit, they played both ways and just kind of got worn down. Of course, it was a very hot time of the year as well. 3rd and 8 upcoming as Boggs just got a yard. But Tony Franks switched Ryan Dixon and Skylar Jackson, who are roughly 70 pounds smaller than Anzo and Capello, into the starting position at defensive tackle. Of course, Anzo and Capello still play there, but Jackson and Dixon have responded, and of course the defense has been very good. It looks like St. Mary's may have jumped. Let's see. It is 3rd and 8, though. And it is encroachment on the defense. But, of course, it'll make things much more doable for Lincoln. It goes from 3rd and 8 to 3rd and 3. With the line of scrimmage about the 17, Lincoln must get to the 14 of St. Mary's. We go under 2 minutes. Rolling, throwing. Is that ball caught? No, incomplete. Spectacular effort by Billy Smith. He has 6 receptions on the season, including a 66-yard reception for score against Tokay. But that falls incomplete. 4th and about 3. Well, that was brutal. We lost power. Lincoln went forward on 4th down and about 4. They were a yard short. Then they had a personal foul after that. So St. Mary's takes over at the 34 with 1:45 to go. Anthony Crosby takes that reception, turns it upfield, and gets to the 44 of Lincoln. A 22-yard hookup. His biggest play of the night. Of course, St. Mary's has been trying to go his way. The Rams have 2 timeouts remaining. But we lost power there, so we apologize. We only lost 1 play, but of course it was a big one as Lincoln went forward on 4th and about 4, 3.5 or so, and they were about a half a yard short. Went over to St. Mary's. There was an unsportsmanlike call that also went against Lincoln, hence the reason St. Mary's started at the 34. Then the quick 22-yard play to Crosby, so here we are. 1st and 10 Rams on Lincoln's side of the field. Crosby takes it again. There's a stiff arm, and he gets out of bounds as well, which will stop the clock and allow the Rams to huddle. Crosby becoming a factor now, as he was both times against Lincoln a year ago. Gets inside the 30, about a 15-yard play there. Clock stop with 1:16 to go, and certainly with the quick strike capabilities for St. Mary's, that's a lot of time. Line of scrimmage just inside the 30 of Lincoln for St. Mary's. We are tied at 7. On the draw, Carrasco, that is blown up. Rams may have to take a timeout. Daniel Luna all over that. And Carrasco loses about 4. St. Mary's letting all kinds of time go off the clock. That play started with 1:16. We're down to 55 seconds. Tuatama for Zanini, deflected by Devin Mays. Well done by the speedster. Otherwise, Zanini may have taken it the distance. Clock stopped at 46 seconds. And this possession could prove to be pivotal before this one's all over. Sorry, a couple P's popped there. But who knows, the way the field is and the way the defenses have played, points could be at a premium tonight. Each team scored in their opening possession, but nothing since then. Third and 14, out of the shotgun. Tuatama throwing to the end zone. Zanini, touchdown Rams. And just like that, St. Mary's takes the lead. Zanini's third receiving touchdown of the season. That's a 33-yard strike. And we told you it was a matter of time for St. Mary's. They had missed on some big plays, once to Zanini, a couple times to Crosby. And Moses Harris thought he was going to pick that one off, just stopped a yard too short, and it fell into the hands of Zanini. St. Mary's an extra point away from being up 14-7. Right now at 13-7. The Rams sideline likes that, no question. It looks like timeout has been taken, maybe by the Trojans. Not sure exactly what happened there. Tony Frank's in there talking to his squad. Here comes the touchdown. Tuatama pumped once and then sped the ball into Zanini. As I said, Alex Zanini's third receiving touchdown of the season. Had a score against Jesuit of 20 yards, a 70-yard touchdown against Lodi. And right there, that one 33 yards with exactly 40 seconds to go. Here it is again, through the lens of Sean Schrock. Or is that Adam Cheshire? Not sure. Also on the crew, Nicole Ferran, Demetrius Snayer, Andres Morado, Justice Ferran, and Michael January. Shore's on for the extra point. Can try and make it a touchdown lead as Rogers holds. Stevens the snapper. And that is a big momentum swing. On a 3rd and 14 play, St. Mary scores the touchdown, and they take the 14-7 lead. So St. Mary scores on their first possession of the game and what appears to be their last possession of the first half. And barring a big return, it'll be tough for Lincoln to do much offensively here with only 40 seconds to go. And the Rams may take the lead into the locker room. Lincoln, though, of course, will get the ball to start half number 2. Again, the loser of this game is still the number 2 seed in the SJAA and will be at home next week. The winner is the 1 seed. And if it's St. Mary's, they could play at home throughout the playoffs. Of course, the section championship game is at the University Pacific. In essence, that's a quasi-home game, if you will. Who knows, maybe a rematch against Jesuit, but we're getting far ahead of ourselves. Heck, if you're Lincoln, you could be saying, hey, we'd like a rematch against Granite Bay. I suppose ironic that Jesuit and St. Mary's started the year against one another, and Granite Bay and Lincoln started the year against one another. Probably the 4 best teams, Sacramento/Stockton, but you can't forget about the Modesto-Turlock area. Pittman, I know, a very good team just with 1 loss, who won the CCC. They'll be playing either Tracy or West next week. Weaver for Lincoln from about the 15. Mark Silva. Kyle Casey wrap him up. Casey, a couple of special teams tackles now. And so Weaver returns it to the 29, but only 34 seconds left for St. Mary's. First and 10 awaiting the Trojans, and I wouldn't think they'd go to the air here, probably just run it once, but at the same time, you got to be careful not to lose the ball. But they do go into a 3-receiver alignment. They have to be careful with the ball at their own 29. Quick drop for Rule. He was hit by Estes. Dominique Howard, a little underthrown as Howard had a step on Jimmy Johnson. And I'm really surprised here. Trojans going after it with the probably better passer of the two, Nick Rule, in there. And Howard a couple of times has been close to making a big play, but it hasn't come to fruition. There is John Estes, who made the hit. Next Wednesday, he'll receive the McKay Award at the Stockton Athletic Hall of Fame dinner as the best offensive lineman in the SJAA. Max Capella will get the best defensive lineman award. Billy Smith, the top running back. Kevin Brown, the best defensive back. Second down and 10. Statue of Liberty. Billy Smith has some room. Got a block there. Cuts, and then Tad Smith catches him at about the 46. 17 yards there. And so timeout taken by Lincoln. And if indeed they did take a timeout on the point after by St. Mary's, and I'm not sure if it was St. Mary's or Lincoln, they either are out of timeouts or have one left with 21 and 2/10 seconds. So I honestly don't know who took the timeout on the point after. So Lincoln is either down to one or they are out. 14-7 St. Mary's. The Ram fans ready to enjoy a halftime and hoping they have the lead. Of course, Lincoln maybe 3 plays left or so with 21 seconds. And of course, we saw a touchdown scored with less than 14 seconds to go in a game last week when West scored to tie the game against Lodi, and then they lost in overtime, hence the reason they're playing Tracy for the right to go to the playoffs as the number 4 seed. Franklin already the number 3 seed. Of course, they've won 6 games in a row. First and 10. Rule throwing far side as he was looking for Chris Scott. A little short there. Scott started the year as the wingback for Lincoln, battling a kneecap problem. He has scored 6 touchdowns this season, though. Second on the team to Billy Smith, who has 17. Clock stopped with 16 and 3/10 seconds to go. Second down and 10 from the 45 as Brent Kamaya-Peely brings in the play to Nick Rule. Have to be careful here, though, not to turn over the ball as well, though the Trojans are close to midfield. Rule slips a little. Tad Smith can't bring him down, and Rule does pretty well just to throw it away. So Lincoln playing with a little bit of fire right there. I mean, can you imagine maybe Smith getting the sack and there's a fumble in that situation? Then it's disastrous for the Trojans. Certainly understand the desire to get some more points here, and Rule does have a good arm, but have to be careful sometimes to want the cake and grab a bite as well. St. Mary's 8-1, 8-0 in the SJAA, 8 consecutive wins. Lincoln 7-2, 7-1 in the SJAA. If Lincoln wins, we have a co-championship, but the Trojans would be the 1 seed. If St. Mary's wins, undefeated champions. Here comes Silva, backside pressure. Rule staying a foot and just moseys out of bounds. Maybe got a yard, so it won't go as a sack. And with 0.2 of a second left, it's 4th down. And so Lincoln, instead of punting, should probably just snap it and take a knee with only 0.2. You certainly don't want to line up to punt it here, have it blocked, and that would be the end of all ends. We'd have a turn out the lights situation with Chris Henry recovering a fumble and taking it in. But it's 4th down. I guess instead of taking a knee, you could throw the Hail Mary, but again, you have to guard against that fumble off a sack or even an interception that's returned. And I guess if it were basketball, you couldn't get a shot off here. You'd have to tip it. Lincoln with a pretty tight alignment, so they probably will take a knee, and I think that's a wise decision. No, they won't. It's a Statue of Liberty. They're going to have to go 55 yards. Will Billy Smith, he goes about 3. So a very interesting first half as each team scores on their opening possession. St. Mary's went 60 yards to take the 7-0 lead. Lincoln got a 70-yard kick return by Michael Peters to set them up at the 19-yard line. Billy Smith took it in from a yard out. We were tied at 7. Each team fumbled once. Punts were aplenty. And then St. Mary's scores on their final possession of the half. A 33-yard reception for score by Alex Zanini. The point after was good by John Shores. And the Rams lead 14-7 at the break in the battle for the number 1 seed in the SJAA. Rams already at least a co-champion. They won it to themselves. Lincoln wouldn't mind sharing this season. We will take a break, come back with some of the halftime festivities. 14-7, Rams on top of the Trojans.
These are the moments of connection that connect us to each other, that connect us to our world. And at Comcast, each of us will help make these moments possible. For our customers, for our neighbors. Sometimes with a simple smile, a comforting word, a moment of patience. And other times with a gritty determination to face down the odds and make great things happen. Each of us will help people connect like never before. To every cheer, every kiss, every laugh, every moment.
I'll prove it every day.
Every day.
I'm dedicated. I'm committed to our customers.
I'm passionate about connecting people.
I make moments of connection.
I make moments of connection.
We've taken different paths to get here. Let's go forward together. We'll make moments happen.
We're at the half, 14-7 St. Mary's on top of Lincoln. 1 half to go to determine the number 1 seed in the SJAA. Just a bit more of halftime, then a quick break, and back with the start of the second half. We're about set to start the second half from the Thompson Sports Complex on the St. Mary's High School campus. Week 10, the final week of the regular season. It has come down to Lincoln and St. Mary's, as it has the 2 previous seasons as well. The winner is the number 1 seed at the end of the night. We could have a co-championship if Lincoln can come from behind, or if St. Mary's holds on to the lead, it will be an outright championship for the Rams, their first since 1995, though that team was upset in the first round of the playoffs by Golden Valley, who went on to lose in the section finals to Jesuit. St. Mary's also got to the semifinals of the section in 93, 94, and of course a year ago. Each team scored on their opening possession. St. Mary's had the ball first, and their touchdown was scored by Anthony Carresco with 9:33 to go, an 8-yard touchdown run. Lincoln got a 70-yard punt return by Michael Peters, and Billy Smith took it in from a yard out to tie us at 7. And St. Mary's scored just before the end of the half on a 33-yard reception by Alex Zanini. Willie Tuatama threw for 91 yards in the first half on 7 of 13, but he started out 1 for 5, finished the half 6 of 8. Also, Carresco did a nice job running the ball, 85 yards on 14 carries. Total offense for St. Mary's 165. Lincoln 0 for 6 through the air between Von Costa and Nick Rule, but they did rush for 154 yards. Of course, mainly from Pete Boggs and Billy Smith. Billy Smith 87 yards, Boggs 55, 44 of which came on 1 run. Michael Peters, couple of carries and 2 yards. Each team turned it over once. A fumble, strip, and recovery by David Garcia, and then a bad snap by Lincoln that was scooped up by John Estes. 2 punts by Lincoln, 3 by St. Mary's. Lincoln turned it over on downs once, and then the possession at the end of the half. 6 possessions in total for each team. Lincoln did have 7 penalties to the 2 for St. Mary's. A couple of costly ones for Lincoln, including a hold on a punt return that was brought back to midfield, so about a 40-yard penalty there. And then also an unsportsmanlike call after Nick Rule was short on a 4th down run that gave much better field position to St. Mary's. They eventually scored on that drive. That was the one at the end of the first half. So 24 minutes to determine the number 1 seed. Each of these teams will be at home next week in the first round of the playoffs. One is the number 1 seed, one is the number 2 seed. The winner of this game plays either Ceres or Modesto next week. The loser plays either Golden Valley or Merced. As we mentioned, Tracy and West playing for the number 4 seed at Peter B. Kine Field tonight. Franklin is the 3 seed from the SJAA. And Linden will have their coronation tonight if they can beat Somerville, their first outright MLL championship since '86. And Oakdale and Sonora play for the VOL title. Great finishes to a lot of different leagues. Lincoln returns with Michael Peters at the 14. Already has one big return to his credit. Kyle Casey hit him first, and then he's finished off by Clayton Barrows. Casey has been very good on special teams. Lincoln will have decent field position. They had very good field position much of the first half, but only accounted for 7 total points. It looks like they will start about the 26-yard line. And we will see Von Costa again. He played the first quarter and a little bit into the second quarter. And Nick Rule played a majority of the second quarter. Rule was 0 for 5 through the air. Costa 0 for 1. Very difficult conditions on the field, though each team has run the ball pretty well, no question about that. Boggs and Smith for Lincoln and Carrasco for St. Mary's. People settling back into their seats. First play of the second half from scrimmage. Pete Boggs, no gain, maybe a yard, but doesn't seem to be the case. Joey Shepard. All right, I guess it is about a yard. 2nd and 9. Boggs, 6 carries for 56, and you would think at some point if Lincoln hopes to come from behind, they're going to have to complete a couple of passes. No question throughout much of the year they're led by the running game. As coming into the night, they had rushed for nearly 2,400 yards, 2nd in the area to Linden, who of course is led by Jose Zambrano. They've only thrown for 685, but against a team as good as St. Mary's, you would think you have to complete a few passes to win. Billy Smith, nice gainer there, up to the 34. That's about an 8-yard gain, and we'll bring up 3rd and a yard and a half. Smith, 87 yards in the first half, up to 95, one of his better games of the season. Did rush for 95 against Granite Bay. We mentioned 166 against Tokay. Over 100 yards against Edison, and 138 against Stagg. 3rd and a yard and about a half. Fake to the first man. Smith, the second, sneaks through and then stays on his feet all the way up to the 43. Good balance there from Smith as he gets about 8, maybe even 9 on his 13th carry, and that puts him over 100 yards. Of course, he had different sides of the spectrum last year against St. Mary's. 303 in the win and 3 scores, 65 yards and no scores in the loss in the playoffs. Mike Byerly, the head coach for Lincoln, when I talked to him early in this season, that pass is intercepted on the bobble. Is it Crosby far side? Anthony Crosby picks it off and he returns it almost to the 30. And that's a huge play in this game. It looked like Boggs was the intended receiver. He couldn't hold it. And Crosby snared it out of the air. He had 2 picks last year against Lincoln in the playoff game. And there was the bobble and Crosby kind of trailing the play. Picks it off, the second turnover by Lincoln. As I was saying, though, in talking with Mike Byerly before the Franklin game early this season, that was week 2, I asked him about the St. Mary's matchup, and he said, yep, that's our motivation from losing a year ago, and it'll be hard to quench that until we have a chance to play them again. Not yet 2 minutes into the third quarter. What can St. Mary's do off the turnover? A flag comes in as Carrasco takes it. Got just a yard or so, but this may come back. We shall wait and see. And it is a hold against St. Mary's. And the Rams, a great opportunity here off the interception. If they can strike and take the 21-7 lead, with Lincoln's struggles in the passing game, they could really put themselves in an excellent position if they can get up by 2 touchdowns. But that's easier said than done, and the holding does not make matters easier for St. Mary's. Our 96th televised game since 1997. We will hit 100 at the section championship. As we said, the now fourth time since 1998 these teams have played for the 1 seed in the SJAA. We have televised all 4. Twice a Lincoln win, the last 2 years, once in 98 a St. Mary's win. Tuatama going for it all, looking for Crosby, comes back for it, keeps his footing, and scores. Touchdown, St. Mary's, 42 yards. And that's the thing about the mud. The receiver knows where he's going. The DB doesn't always. Devin Mays lost his footing. Crosby didn't. That's the difference. A 42-yard reception, his 8th score of the season, and St. Mary's is up 2 scores. And Willie Tuatama is on fire now after a 1-for-5 start. He's 7 for his last 9, 8 of 14. 2 touchdowns, no picks, 133 yards. He now has 17 touchdowns against just 4 interceptions. Last year, 11 against 3. That's 28 touchdowns and 7 picks over his varsity career. That's why he's going to Arizona. Flag comes in, that was blocked, but Shores will get to re-kick it whether it's against St. Mary's or not because that play was whistled dead. Crosby, the man who got the interception to give St. Mary's possession. He's the man who scores from 42 yards out on a ball that was underthrown, but almost beautifully underthrown, if you will, because Crosby realized that early and came back for it. And the penalty against Lincoln, so St. Mary's will now go for 2 as it moves the ball half the distance. Puts the ball at about the 1.5, and St. Mary's going for 2. I don't know about that. Sometimes it can tempt coaches because you're closer. But if you don't get it, then a 2 scores, 2 made extra points puts Lincoln back on top. Now, if St. Mary's gets it, everything is rosy because you're up by 15. Carrasco doesn't get it. Fool's gold maybe. Camp, the stop. So we'll put that in the back of our mind. 20-7 St. Mary's, 9:39 to play in the third. It's a 13-point game. St. Mary's gets the touchdown on the long pass to Anthony Crosby, but the 2-point conversion is no good. Here's the touchdown. And you can see it was well underthrown, and Devin Mays just maybe his cleats weren't as good as Anthony Crosby. But Crosby, the receiver, had a chance to break on the ball a little early, or earlier, and taking the touchdown, his 8th of the year. Last year he had 10, finished the season in fine fashion with 5 scores in his last 4 games. Mentioned the 2-touchdown game against Lincoln in the regular season. Scored 1 against Lincoln in the playoffs, and had 2 against Edison in the section semifinal, trying to bring the Rams from behind. He and Roger Brunswick. Last year, Brunswick 18 scores, 1,250 yards. What a duo they were a year ago. Tonight, though, it's Zanini and Crosby for the Rams. John Shores. That kick's going to go out of bounds. And the options for the Trojans, 5 yards back and the re-kick. The spot where it went out, or 25 yards from where the ball was kicked off. And so up to the 35. Lincoln will have it. And you really feel like Lincoln needs to score on this possession. I know there's still plenty of time to go. We're barely into the second half. But down by 13. And it looks like St. Mary's has now a lot of confidence in their passing game, as they should, with passing touchdowns on each of their last 2 possessions. You really feel like here, with Lincoln struggling to throw the ball, they have to score in this possession. And of course, they're capable of doing it on the ground, but they can't fall too far behind. Billy Smith, the ball carrier. Kyle Casey wraps him up. Smith on the play, about 3. 14th carry for 107 for Billy Smith. So he's above 900 yards for the year. Trying to go over 1,000. He had 1,900 last year, but you look at the career of Tyrone Gross, who was a 3-year varsity player. He had 4,000 yards, and Lewis Rankin, 2 years as a varsity player, 3,200. It's Peters trying the left side. Casey there again to make another play, also Rudy Anzo. Michael Peters gets across the 40 to about the 41. 3rd and 4 upcoming. 4th carry of the night for Peters. Early in the season, he had an ankle problem, able to come back from that and be certainly a big option in the Lincoln offense. 3rd and 4. I know it's early in the second half, but I believe a big play here for both teams, no question. St. Mary's adjusting on defense. Costa, option toss. Chris Scott trying to get to the outside. A little extra effort will get him close to the first down, but I believe it'll be about a yard short. Good effort there by Scott on his first carry. The East Union transfer gets to about the 44. It appears, though, that he will be a yard short. It means Lincoln will have to punt. The option toss by Costa did a good job to get it wide to Scott, and then Tad Smith kind of forced him outside. Also Shepard giving chase. And then there's Crosby. There's really the only true two-way starter for either team. Haven't been keeping track, but Crosby's probably been on the field almost every snap, and he's played very well on defense and has got that touchdown on offense as well. 3 grabs in total offensively. Weaver punting. Here is Crosby as he's doing it all tonight from the 24. Looking for his holes to open up. Throwing to the mud bog along his sideline. A couple of players tangled up over there. Sean Schrock's in the middle of that mess. And so Crosby able to return it to about the 43, right around a 20-yard return. Let's look at the end of this play. There's a matting over there, kind of a cloth to help the footing, but then there's mud right there, and Crosby kind of got rolled around into it. Crosby actually 4 grabs, I beg your pardon. There was that shovel toss in there. 87 yards and the touchdown. Of course, he's been the main target of Willie Tuatama, who goes under center. St. Mary's up by 13, in danger of widening that lead. Fake the toss, handoff underneath to Crosby, and he's hammered. Nick Kubitz didn't fall for that at all. On the play, it looks like Crosby will lose 3, and he's done it all tonight. That poor guy is battered with the mud, and he's probably going to need a breather. And maybe more likely a chance to get the mud out of his mouth and his eyes. We saw earlier Carrasco getting the mud out of his eyes. I would imagine that's a big deterrent. Eric Alves with you on the Comcast SJTV Sports High School Football Game of the Week. Week number 10 here in the 2004 season. It was a fake toss and then the handoff to Crosby. Kubitz all over it. He's played pretty well from the nose position. On 2nd and about 13. Sliding catch there by Nick Rhodes, but it looks like it's going for no gain. Rhodes, a junior, you would think he'll be a big part of the offense next season. 3 grabs coming in, that's his 4th. Though it looks like that is, in essence, for no gain. And we'll bring up 3rd and 13. So I mentioned how crucial the last offensive series was for Lincoln, and of course they had to punt. It's less crucial if their defense can get a stop here and give them the ball back. It still is just a 13-point game, but it probably can't get much larger than that if Lincoln hopes to come from behind. 3rd and 13. Tuatama, who's under center, the quick snap. Crosby, first down and then some across the 40. It looked like St. Mary's got Lincoln maybe a little confused there. Crosby to the 37. About a 23-yard reception. His 5th grab, now 110 yards, and just a 2 or 3 step drop to Tuatama, and somehow Crosby was all alone. 5 for 110 in the touchdown. Now Tuatama 10 of 16. For 156 yards. You see Crosby in the slot, top of the screen. Here is Jeff Weaver. He hasn't carried yet. You know why? He has the clean jersey. Weaver comes into the night, those 77 carries for 459 and 5 scores. Nice gain to the 30. Picks up about 6, 2nd and 4. And Willie Tuatama, since his 1 for 5 start, 9 for 11 with 2 touchdowns. We saw him be very effective like that against Tracy, as he was 8 for 12 in the second half in that contest, as the Rams scored the only points of that second half. Weaver again giving the breather to Koresko. That's a first down, as he gets 5, maybe 6. Weaver, 2 touchdowns against Edison, a 64-yard touchdown against Stagg, and a couple of scores against Bear Creek as well. So you look at St. Mary's, 17 touchdowns from Koresko, 8 from Crosby, 4 from Zanini, also 4 from tight end Brad Peterson, whom we haven't heard from tonight and is a weapon. Weaver has scored 5 times. Shores has a touchdown. Tad Smith and Nathan Hunter each with a touchdown as well. 1st and 10 St. Mary's, a heavy dose of Jeff Weaver right now. Weaver from the 22 to about the 15. That's at least 7, maybe even close to 8. 3 straight carries for Weaver, as that offensive line is churning for St. Mary's with Estes at center, Gonzalez and Capello the guards, Nisby and Anzo the tackles, opening up some holes. And there's a couple of guys there with NFL bloodlines. You can see why they've had success based upon their past. 2nd and short. Weaver takes it 4 straight times. He's turned to the side. It may be short of the first down. It depends on the spot. And it's getting very difficult to see who's making the plays in there because of the mud on the jerseys. I believe David Garcia in the mix again. He's played himself quite a ball game for Lincoln. And it looks like Weaver is just shy. Or will we have a measurement? No, we'll have a measurement. So let's wait and see. May not be 3rd and 1. Could be a first down as we wait on the measurement. And it is enough for a first down. So Weaver got just enough yardage on his 4th straight carry. And St. Mary's will have it 1st and 10 from about the 13. The Ram fans like that. I mentioned the NFL bloodlines. J.P. Nisby, just a sophomore, he starts at right tackle. His father, John, played in the National Football League. In fact, was one of the first African-American players to play for the Redskins. 3 times a Pro Bowler, 59, 60, and 61 and 62, I should say. Koresko back in there after 4 straight by Weaver, and he's rested, so he has the extra effort to get to the 7. A 6-yard gain for Anthony Koresko. That was his first carry of the second half. And we'll put him at 15 carries for 91 yards on the night. And then John Estes, the center, who was first-team All-League last year, his uncle played for the Lions and the Buccaneers. Rock Freitas, actually Rockney, which of course is a great NFL game, and his cousin now plays offensive line for the Colts. Tuatama, look at Crosby, what a grab, the left hand. Looked like Charles Rogers a couple of years ago for Michigan State. His 2nd touchdown catch of the night, and St. Mary's is rolling right now as their 14-7 halftime lead has been extended to now a 3-score lead. And you probably go for 2 here after not getting it the last time around. We'll wait and see. Right around a 7, maybe 8-yard touchdown reception by Crosby. Now 6 catches for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. And actually Shores is on for the point after to try and make it 27-7. What a catch by Crosby. That was left-handed. And we're not playing basketball. No, they'll go for 2. Shores is in there to play H-back. And Tua Thomas sacked, so it remains 26. Taylor Belcher, the strong safety, on the sack. So it's 26-7. I guess that's the only thing not going the way of St. Mary's. They've twice gone for 2. Here's the touchdown, though. It was pretty special from Crosby. One of the best around, no question, he and Kevin Brown. Look out, George Steckler. .320 to go in the third. 26-7. St. Mary's starting to assert itself here in the second half. They've had 2 possessions. They've been 2 touchdowns. And the Lincoln Trojans, how do they respond? The 4-time defending champions, who are 37 or 38, 1-1 in their last 40 SJAA games. Their only loss in that stretch to West, their only loss prior to that, St. Mary's in 1999. Here's Shores to kick off. And Lincoln needs a spark from somebody. Peters gave it to him in the first half, returning from the 6. Looked like his knee might have been down. He got back up, though, and continued to run, and is spotted around the 16. Now, I remember saying this a year ago, and of course, this game is far from being done. There's one of the many injured players for Lincoln, Demarie Jordan. He'd be in the secondary. Of course, Michael Johnson's over there somewhere as well. He'd be playing both receiver and in the secondary. Eric Shields, broken femur, broken leg for Demarie Jordan, broken radius for Michael Johnson, ACL injury for Michael Santini. Lincoln also lost Randy Dennison early in the year, an offensive lineman. But as I was saying, there's still a long ways to go in this game. Certainly Lincoln has quite a hill to climb, especially considering the fact they've been unable to complete a pass. Tackle made by Don Rogers on Billy Smith. Smith looks like he only gets back to the line of scrimmage on his 15th carry. But when St. Mary's lost last year in the regular season 48-27 to Lincoln, there's Eric Shields. Michael Johnson's over there somewhere as well, of course, not wearing the uniform Lincoln wished they could be. I said St. Mary's had to find a way to rebound a year ago after the regular season loss to Lincoln, and they did, winning at Downey, then at Lincoln before losing by 1. Max Capello finishes off Michael Peters. Tad Smith was in the mix first, and it looks like it's going to be a loss of 2. But St. Mary's was able to respond. Now, if Lincoln cannot come back here tonight, of course, that'll drop them to the number 2 seed. But they will be home next week against either Golden Valley or Merced. They have to find a way to respond in a week, because certainly they could be the second best team around, and of course they'd like another chance against St. Mary's. We still have 14 minutes to go. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but just something to think about. 3rd and 12 for Lincoln. Costa throws, it's caught. That's the first completion of the game for Lincoln, but it'll be well short of the first down. Billy Smith takes it in. About an 8-yard grab, so 4th and 4 upcoming. Now 1 for 8 through the air is Lincoln. And the ball is going to go back into the ever dangerous offense for St. Mary's. There's Alex Stipe. Franklin Smith, some of the offensive linemen for Lincoln. Mentioning that NFL connection, Franklin Smith, his father is the team chaplain for the Niners, has been also for the Giants and the Warriors. And then, of course, Peter Morelli is an NFL referee, and he is the principal here at St. Mary's. Saw him earlier tonight. That punt goes off the side of the foot of Gary Weaver. The weather is very nice, but it rains, it pours here on Lincoln, so it seems. St. Mary's will have outstanding field position, leading 26-7. They'll have it at about the 39 of Lincoln. Then you can't forget Reynard Camp, who plays linebacker for Lincoln. His dad, Reggie, is the sophomore head coach. Sophomores won a good ball game for Lincoln between they and St. Mary's, very tight down to the end. 19-13 was the final. He, of course, played for the Cleveland Browns in the middle of the 80s. The handoff is bobbled by Weaver, but he holds on to it on the second effort. And that's the one thing, really, the St. Mary's has to guard against. Otherwise, they're in pretty good shape. Chico Velasquez brings down a Weaver. Looks like he's only able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Weaver, though, has provided a nice change of pace to Carrasco and given Carrasco a breather, as he was really the only ball carrier in the first half. 5th carry now for Weaver. 22 yards, and you can't forget Marcus Tuiasosopo, his uncle Junior Seau, and his cousin Marcus Tuiasosopo of the Raiders. So all kinds of NFL connections. Probably missing some we don't even know about. Weaver didn't like the middle, tried the left side, and then went back into the middle. Only able maybe to get a yard out of it. Reynard Camp in on that play. He was the Records Defensive Player of the Year last year. And now Weaver's uniform very dirty. We joked earlier on his first carry. But that carry brings us to the end of the third quarter. We go to the fourth. St. Mary's 12 minutes away from their first outright title since 1995, attempting to go undefeated in SJAA play in what appears to be the last year of the 10-team SJAA, and maybe the final league meeting between Lincoln and St. Mary's for at least the foreseeable future. It was a tight game at the break, 14-7 St. Mary's, and the Rams pulled away in the third quarter. The long touchdown pass to Crosby of 42 yards, and then the left-handed touchdown catch from roughly 8 yards out. Crosby getting it done tonight, 6 catches for 118 and 2 touchdowns. And don't forget, his interception set up his first touchdown. And Willie Tuatama (11 for 17), 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's 4 for 4 in the second half, and 10 of his last 12. Third down and 9, though, for the Rams. Lincoln has to get a stop here, trailing by 19. Tuatama has time. He's only been sacked once. He was hit, but still completes the passage. Crosby again to about the 17. Tuatama able to stand in on that play, right around a 20-yard hookup to Crosby. And obviously Lincoln knows he's the big target. They're doing everything in their power to try and shut him down. That tells you what kind of a player he is, and Tuatama as well. Crosby's 7th grab of the night, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, his best game of the season. His best game last year was in the loss to Lincoln. Maybe he likes playing against the Trojans. Certainly the better players come out in the big games. Jeff Weaver running. Driven out of bounds by DeWitt Stuckey. He's just 15 years old, by the way, number 47 for Lincoln, as those white uniforms are sure obscured now by the mud. Holding there against the Rams. So that'll move the St. Mary's offense back. Tuatama now 12 of 18 for 184 yards. He did throw for 188 against Jesuit in the opener, but almost all of that came in the first half. Tuatama has thrown a touchdown in every game but one this season. That was against Tokay. He did not have Anthony Crosby in that contest. In fact, Crosby has missed 2 games this year. And he has thrown 2 touchdowns or more on 6 occasions, now 7 with tonight. 7 out of 10 games Tuatama has thrown 2 touchdowns or more. 17 for the season. First in a bus ride for the Rams after the penalty. May not matter. Crosby bobbles. It's intercepted by Weaver. Here we go. Weaver gets a block. Returns it to about the 35, maybe the 36. So the first interception tonight by Willie Tuatama went off the hands of Crosby after we saw him with the stickum on the left hand. That one squirts off. Weaver picks it off and returns the favor. Remember, Crosby picked one off the bobble. And really, Lincoln absolutely had to have that. They must score now in a hurry, and they're going to have to score on 3 occasions. Or 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions, and a field goal. That may have even gone off the helmet of Crosby. Hard to tell. but maybe a sign of life for Lincoln. But remember, they are down 19, have just completed one pass. And they'll stay with Von Costa here in the fourth quarter. A massive humanity there on that tackle as Pete Boggs gets out from underneath the pile. And he does not gain anything on that play. And of course, the clock, a great ally of St. Mary's, though at the current moment it is stopped. Now it's being wound. And of course, the clock keeper here at St. Mary's would gladly keep it moving with the Rams on top by 19. It was 7-7 early as each team scored on their first possession, but nothing doing for Lincoln since then. As it's been 19 unanswered for St. Mary's. They had 23 unanswered against Tracy earlier this year. Billy Smith, maybe a yard gain there, but it's 3rd and 9. And Lincoln's inability to pass the ball has been key tonight, and they're going to have to find a way to rectify that certainly into the postseason. Their running game is electrifying, but when the threat of the pass is not there, it's hard. And that's the thing that has made St. Mary's so strong here late in the year. Koresko has stepped it up, and the threat of the run and pass are there. In fact, St. Mary's got their offense going with the run first and kind of finished things off with the passing game. Costa running for his life, now moving upfield, and he's hit pretty hard by guess who? Anthony Crosby. And I believe earlier I said Willie Tuatama had thrown 2 touchdowns. Of course, he has thrown 3, 2 to Crosby and 1 to Zanini at the end of the first half. So he now has 18 on the season against now 5 interceptions. The touchdowns for St. Mary's, an 8-yard run by Anthony Koresko. That's how they scored first. Just before the half, a 33-yard reception by Zanini. And then in the third quarter, Anthony Crosby, a 42-yard grab and an 8-yard one-handed grab. Punting situation. Weaver, his 3rd punt of the second half. Quite a Lincoln roll down to about the 6. But it appears to be too little too late with under 9 minutes to play in the game, and St. Mary's up by 19. Saw a cheerleader yawning there. Yes, it has been a bit of a yawner here in the second half after it was very tight in the first half. These teams, though, potentially could meet again, though it would not be until the section semifinal. And you can't forget about Franklin. They are looming. Of course, they lost early in the year to St. Mary's 24-20 and to Lincoln in week 2, in fact, and St. Mary's in week 3, but they lost 20-12 to Lincoln. They've won 6 in a row since then, and they've been rolling people. They're kind of looming there as the number 3 seed. And they will play either Davis or Ceres. Koresko. Couple yards gain. A workman-like night for him. Many of his have been workman-like nights. Of course, last year, Jeff Johnson leading the way for St. Mary's, and they've had quite a run of outstanding backs. Before Johnson, it was 3 years of Brandon Harper. Before that, Kevin Arbett, and prior to him, Frank Strong. So a couple of USC guys, a guy in Harper who had a very nice run at Delta College, and now Koresko, who is 1 yard shy of going over 1,000 for the season. He does so there. Gets up to the 14. We'll bring up 3rd down and about 3. And Koresko a couple yards shy of 100 for the night. And you look at his numbers, 19 for 83 and 2 scores against Tracy, 3 scores, 84 yards against Stagg, 3 touchdowns, 237 his big night against Tokay. Scored against West, had 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving against Edison. He's put himself into a very fine senior season. 3rd and about 3, Tuatama slips, and he's sacked for the 2nd time of the night. 3rd if you want to count the 2-point conversion. Lincoln talked about putting pressure on him, but really they've been unable to do so with a few exceptions. That will bring up a punting situation, though. It was Taylor Belcher who's played pretty well defensively tonight for Lincoln. Tuatama did lose his footing for a bit. First punt of the second half for St. Mary's as they've gone touchdown, touchdown, interception. Now the punt, but there's less than 7 to play, and Lincoln trails by 19 at 26-7. Shores kicking from his end zone. He's got about 3 yards to spare. Able to get it away, kicks it away from Weaver. Well done by Shores as Gary Weaver picks it up at the 42. Not much running room. Shepard, and had many teammates come down as well. John Fugazi, also Brad Peterson. A lot of Ram players have to play on special teams as well, which is 34 guys on the roster. There is a flag also. We haven't heard from Larry Macedo in a while. We'll try to talk to our players of the game on the field afterwards, but honestly, it's going to be tough. A lot of media here. Channel 10's here. Mark Tennis from Student Sports. Jason Anderson from the Stockton Record. A lot of people as well. So chances of me getting onto the field in a timely fashion, 50-50. I'll do my best. 6:28 showing on the clock. As the officials now discussing this matter. St. Mary's, their senior class as freshmen went 9-1, but they lost the league championship to Lincoln. That was their only loss. As sophomores, they went 10-0, of course, were league champions. Last year, they finished in a tie for second with Edison as Lincoln was league champions. And then now this year, it appears they will be undefeated, outright champions. So what a battle has been between the 2 senior classes for each of these schools. Block in the back each way, that's an interesting call. Rarely do you see the kicking team with the block in the back. That's probably what Tony Franks is wondering about. So it appears St. Mary's will be back here next week at the Thompson Sports Complex against either Ceres or Modesto. Modesto and Davis are playing tonight. If Davis wins, they're the champions of the Modesto Metro, and Ceres would come here next week. If Modesto wins, Ceres would be the champions of the Modesto Metro, and Modesto would come here. Modesto, they have not been in the playoffs in 59 years. Remember, Edison had the drought of 20 years ended last year. 59 for Modesto High. And they would come in next week as the number 2 seed at 9-1. They cannot be the champions, though, or the number 1 seed. They can be co-champions. But Ceres beat Modesto already this year, and they won last night against Downey. And then Lincoln will play the winner of Golden Valley and Merced, which would be the number 2 seed out of the CCC. Lincoln takes it back at about the 47. 6:28 to go in the game. Von Costa looks like he'll go the rest of the way after Nick Rule played much of the second quarter. Billy Smith fighting for extra yardage, has a first down. Smith still moving those legs. Give him credit in a 19-point game as he gets to about the 25. A 22-yard pickup for Billy Smith. His 17th carry for 130 yards. And if Lincoln can score in a hurry, we're probably looking at an onside kick, you would think, as we approach the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Boggs with the hole. That's another first down. He gets to about the 12 on the 13-yard pickup, and Lincoln, no question, has been able to run the ball. But they could not stop the passing game of St. Mary's, especially in the second half, and really late in the first half for that matter, as the touchdown strikes came in succession. 3 straight possessions for St. Mary's, 1 at the end of the first half and 2 at the start of the second. 1 to Zanini, 2 to Crosby. 1st and 10. Looks like it's Billy Smith again. Lincoln can get a first down at about the 1. Smith for 4 or 5. And of course, it's supposed to rain this weekend. You wonder what kind of condition this field will be in next week. I know Ray Naylor will do a great job trying to prep it, but it's hard to go against Mother Nature. You hope it will be in good condition, although, frankly, I don't think it was a factor on either side. There was a few slips and whatnot, but I don't think it affected either team too much. Most of what each team usually does, they did here tonight. Obviously, Lincoln's just typically a little more successful with the running game and maybe able to pass it a little better. Short gain there and brings up third down. Actually, a loss of a yard or two to be fair. It's 3rd and 8. And of course, 4-down territory for Lincoln, down 26-7. Costa throwing, and that's swatted away at the last second, saving a touchdown. It was Eugene Beals. He's had himself a game. He's in there replacing Anthony Sanguinetti, the team's leading tackler. And it doesn't appear they've missed a beat. But what a night of high school football here, Lincoln and St. Mary's, Oakdale and Sonora. Always a great one in the Valley Oak League. There was the swat by Beals, otherwise that's a touchdown. Linden looking for their first outright championship since '96 at home against Somerville. And they could play Ripon, Escalon, and Hillmar, 3 teams they played in non-league action. On 4th down, touchdown, Albert Torres. And if you're Lincoln, you probably go for 2 here. And if you're successful, you're down 11, which would be a touchdown and another 2-point conversion and a field goal. We'll see with only 4:32 to go, but on 4th and 8, a 9-yard touchdown reception by Albert Torres, his 4th touchdown catch of the, 4th reception of the year, his first touchdown on the toss from Vaughn Costa, his 8th touchdown passing this year. And Nick Rule on actually for the extra point. It would be tough to get 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions, and a field goal. Lincoln's gotten 1 touchdown of the 3 they need. They trail by 12, 26-14. With 4:32 remaining. Nice toss there by Costa. Just on the inside of a defender's arm. Pretty good grab, too, by Albert Torres, the 5'11", 160 junior. And so it looks like the Trojans will lose for just the 2nd time in SJAA play under Mike Byerly. He had been 24-1 coming in. We mentioned Lincoln had that stretch of 31 or 32 in a row broken by West. And they had been 38 or 37, 1-1 in SJAA play since the 2000 season. And the cheerleaders starting to celebrate the championship. We'll see if we can grab a couple players for you. Not sure how that's going to go. And Lincoln, 53-8-1 during their 4-year championship run, including this year. Their 8 losses, 3 to Granite Bay, 1 to St. Mary's. It looks like it may now be 2 to St. Mary's. Once to West, once to Jesuit in the section final, to Fairfield in the section semifinal in '01, and to Laguna Creek back in the 2000 season. St. Mary's hasn't been a slouch over the last couple of years either, but Lincoln has set the standard. But this year, the standard has been set by St. Mary's. Sounds like I'm doing a Chase Chevrolet commercial. Nathan Hunter, the pop-up kick, takes it from the 32. Got a pretty good block around the 40. Hunter at midfield and rode out of bounds on Lincoln's side of the field at about the 49. And if you're St. Mary's, just hold on to the ball down by 12. And about 4.5 minutes to go. Tuatama, Crosby, Zanini, all stars of the game. Can't forget about Carrasco as well offensively. And then to hold Lincoln to 7, which is what West did as well. Those are the 2 losses for Lincoln. Pretty good return by Hunter, a defensive back. There is a penalty at the end of that against St. Mary's, as you see the return by Hunter. And so they will march back to about the 36, their own. But a case where St. Mary's should be in good shape if they can just hold on to the ball. Even if the Rams run it 3 straight times here, they could take the clock well under 3 minutes, probably around 2:15, 2:20, unless Lincoln starts to use their timeouts. Here's Anthony Koresko. I'm guessing we're going to get a steady diet of Koresko. May have been Reynard Camp who stopped him, although it's awfully hard to tell. You can just see that field. It's amazing the players have kept their footing as well as they have all night long. It looks like St. Mary's win streak will move to 9. Lincoln's will end at 4. Trojans will be 7-3. Their first season with more than 2 losses since '99 when they were 4-6. Second down and about 8 after Koresko got 2. Pass is tipped and caught by Crosby. First down across midfield, past the 40 before he's pushed out of bounds. About a 26-yard play to Crosby as the numbers continue to add up for him. His 8th catch of the night. 164 yards, 2 touchdowns, and for good measure throwing that interception. Very reminiscent of his regular season game last year against Lincoln when he had 6 catches for 172 and 2 scores. As history repeats itself in that form, but it doesn't in the final score as Lincoln won that regular season game last year, 48-27. But it looks like if it holds true, St. Mary's 26-14 tonight. A run there by Koresko and probably one more first down by the Rams, and they may be able to run it out. And look at the offensive line. You have to give them a lot of credit. Anzo, Gonzalez, Estes, Capello, and Nisby. 3 seniors, returning starters in Capello, Estes, and Anzo. Gonzalez, a junior, Nisby, a sophomore. Under 3 to play in this final regular season game. Jeff Weaver, he's hitting the backfield. Chico Velasquez, the first man to get to him. And so we started the year with 43 Division I teams. The playoffs will pare it down to 16. And at the end of the late afternoon on December the 11th at the University of the Pacific, a Saturday, of course, 1 o'clock start for the 2nd year in a row, it will be down to the champion of Division I. St. Mary's could be there. Certainly Lincoln could rebound. We saw St. Mary's rebound from their regular season loss to Lincoln last year. 3rd down and about 12. To a Thomas sack by Velasquez. Now that's 4. But really, he's had a lot of time tonight. That's been one of the keys in this game. Looks like Lincoln's calling timeout. And Trojans not out of this one completely yet. It would take a stirring comeback down by 12 with 2 minutes to go. But with the stop here, they've given themselves a little bit of life. Good call on the timeout, leaves them with 2. But it's a case almost where Lincoln would need maybe a punt return and then an onside or a fumble by St. Mary's to still be in the mix. There's their defensive coordinator, Jim Rubiales, former head coach, of course, from 86 to 94. He won 5 titles in a row from 88 to 92, something Lincoln was attempting to do here tonight. Win 5 titles consecutively, but it appears as if that will come to an end. So we will be back here next week, it appears, at the Thompson Sports Complex for St. Mary's in either Ceres or Modesto. And if it's Modesto, what a matchup that would be in the first round. 2 9-1 teams. And you look at Jesuit, they will be 10-0 if they defeat Florin, which they most likely will, as Florin's 0-9. Jesuit moved to 10-0. Their first round matchup, Nevada Union, the 3rd place team from the Metro League. Granite Bay seems to have the better side of the bracket, as they will open up against the 3 seed from the Delta, Laguna Creek. John Shores nearly blocked by Camp. That could have changed things. Almost goes straight off to the side and out of bounds, but at least it wasn't blocked from the St. Mary's perspective. And Lincoln may have to go to the air. Of course, they've only completed 2 passes tonight, the last of which, though, was a touchdown on 4th and 8 to Albert Torres. With just 1:54 to go, they have no choice, really, down by 12. And after tonight, it will be a 4-game season. Hopefully another team from the SJAA can get to the section final. We'd sure like to do 4 more games after tonight. Lincoln could make some noise, even though they've lost here. And then you look at other leagues, Linden from the MLL, Brookside Christian, and Elliott Christian. They play for the championship of the Sac Valley Christian League on Saturday. Costa did a pretty good job to elude the sack and slides down back into the line of scrimmage. Casey was there to make sure he couldn't go much further. 2nd and 10. Clock continues to move. Now at 1:30. Flag is thrown. And of course, Franklin and Lincoln in essence end up in a tie for 2nd place, much like St. Mary's and Edison a year ago. But Lincoln beat Franklin head-to-head. That's why they are the 2 seed, and Franklin will be the 3. Encroachment on the defense, 5 yards to Lincoln, makes it 2nd and 5. Trojans run for a 1st down. That'll stop the clock momentarily. Smith. Of course, Smith scored the only touchdown in the 1st half for Lincoln. And now his 22 varsity games, he scored a touchdown in 19 of them. Usually an ingredient for success. Only one time previously had Lincoln lost when he had scored a touchdown. Now it's the 2nd time that has happened. The final 1-11 in the regular season for these 2 teams. Be interesting to see how some of the other scores turn out with Tracy and West, Sonora and Oakdale. You look at the Manteca Unified Schools, they played on Wednesday because of the holiday on Thursday. And in fact, Lincoln got Thursday and Friday off. St. Mary's only got Thursday off, Veterans Day. Maybe a good thing to kind of have the regular routine for the St. Mary's kids today. Maybe the Lincoln kids sitting around kind of thinking about the game. Not saying that's the reason for the loss, but potentially you like to have your normal routine. And that was the case for St. Mary's. And it has paid huge dividends here, up 26-14. It was 14-7 at the half. St. Mary's scored twice in the 3rd quarter to assume control. Willie Tuatama, 3 touchdown passes in this game. We also saw him throw 3 against Jesuit. Costa bumped out of bounds by Casey. Kyle Casey's been all over the place tonight, defensively and on special teams. But for St. Mary's, their first outright title since '95. First championship since '98. They tied Lincoln that year, but did beat them head-to-head. And so in the last 7 years, only one time has it been a championship for a team other than St. Mary's or Lincoln. That was Stagg back in '99. There's Tony Franks. Of course, he had success his first time around, but pretty impressive success over the last 2 years. 10-3 last year, and he will have a 9-1 team starting postseason play next Friday night. Well, actually, they'll be 9-1 in about 1:04 unless Lincoln can have a miraculous comeback here, facing 2nd and about 3. Costa has time, just no open receivers. That pass is caught, but then the receiver was drilled. That's Chris Scott. Clock continues to move. Under a minute. It's 3rd and 1. Costa spikes it, so now it's 4th and 1. Clock stops with 42 and 4/10 seconds. And even if Lincoln picks up the 1st down, going to be awfully tough to score 2 times in 42 seconds. I'm sure somewhere it has happened before, but not very often. The touchdowns for St. Mary's early on, Carrasco an 8-yard run just before the half. A 33-yard reception by Zanini in the 3rd quarter. The touchdowns for Anthony Crosby. You see it's not so much Gatorade, looks like maybe melted ice and Gatorade in there. Tony Franks is probably going to get it. Zanini and Brad Peterson look like they're going to do it to their coach. It's almost more important than the 4th and 1 play. Lincoln runs with it. Unless Lincoln picks it up and keeps things going, and they do. Smith thinking about the timeout, but that actually stops the clock. And Frank's got it with 35 seconds to go, and you see his reaction. I know it's been a difficult season this year on a couple of occasions. He's had to suspend players for games, and kind of talked to him about that. And he said, heck, I like practice just as much as games. That's not to say he doesn't enjoy games, but he said he likes to teach football, coach football, and that's what you do in practices. And he is a football coach, no question. And I'm sure this, for him, is a very special moment. Of course, this team had a lot of expectations. I'm sure that has added to the difficulties this season. And it's hard to say there's difficulties when it's 9-1, but sometimes those kind of years are the more difficult ones when everybody expects a lot out of you. St. Mary's student section chanting "Our House." 35 seconds left. Billy Smith did pick up the first down. So with 35 seconds left from the 30-yard line, Lincoln almost has to throw to the end zone, get a touchdown, and then kick the onside kick, recover it, and then score again, really. Down 26-14. Costa is flushed. Can't get his footing. Estes drills him after Anzo got him as well. Lincoln's going to have to line up again. Another Gatorade bucket. Looks like Ryan McShane. Lincoln hurrying. Maybe a spike. And down to just 13 seconds. If it was a one-score game, their chance is much more likely. But what a run it has been for the Trojans. The first time now in 5 years they are not SJA champions, but all is not lost. They're still the 2 seed in the SJAA, and with 2 wins, they could force another meeting with St. Mary's. But Lincoln, if they were fortunate enough to win their first playoff game, would most likely have to go on the road, or potentially could play Franklin in the second round if Franklin pulls off an upset. But we will see St. Mary's next week, and more Gatorade/Old Ice baths coming. And that's Doug Koresko, the offensive coordinator for the team. I don't know if there are any buckets left. There is Doug Koresko, and has to like the way his offense performed tonight with that outstanding balance. Maybe 2 plays left for Lincoln. They will play Merced or Golden Valley at home next week. Costa throwing deep. Looking for Chris Scott. 3 St. Mary's defenders there. Jimmy Johnson, also Don Rogers and Anthony Crosby, and maybe down to the final play. It was 7-7 early after each team scored on their opening possession. 4-7 St. Mary's at the break, and really all St. Mary's here in the second half, though Lincoln did get that passing touchdown to Albert Torres. And how will the Rams respond? And can they get to the school's first ever Division I section final? That remains to be seen. They did get to a Division II final back in 1976 before any of these players were born, no question. J.D. Willis, an assistant coach, just got a Gatorade Cup bath. Costa throwing, tipped. And that's it, 26-14, St. Mary's, they're champions. First outright title since '95. They're the 1 seed. We'll see them next week against either Ceres or Modesto. Will try and get on the field and all that badness. Rams win behind 3 touchdown passes from Willie Tuatama, 26-14.
This program was a presentation of Comcast's SJTV. San Joaquin Television. SJTV.